Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you all had an amazing weekend, and I hope you are ready for another episode of the Business Breakthrough with Barbara show. I think, as always, I'm very excited for today's topic. Um, But what I like the most is that it's something that I don't think I've talked about in the past, like as comprehensive as I'm going to talk about today. Pretty much what we're diving into today's episode is the three things that most, if not all, successful coaches have in their business. Okay. So, hey, okay, love the hearts and emojis. Drop them for me. Let me know that you're here. Give me some hearts, give me some fire, give me some thumbs up. I love knowing that you guys are here and that you enjoy these episodes every week. Hey, Shannon, welcome. Um, oh, by the way, that actually does remind me. If you don't know this, every Monday when we have our weekly episode and you drop an emoji in the comments, whichever one you want, it could be anything from a unicorn to a fire sign, you get entered for a chance to win a one-on-one coaching session with me. So definitely go ahead and drop that. It's super easy. It's like my way to give back and contribute to this community and help you guys grow. So definitely drop me some emojis if you want to be entered for our weekly raffle, let's call it. Um, okay, so the number one question I get asked as a business coach, I mean, I've been coaching for over 6 years now, and so many people ask me, like, how do I get clients? What am I not doing that other coaches are doing, right? Like, it's a lot of like, how do I make this happen? How do I make money? How do I get clients? So, the reason why I decided to focus on this topic this week, it's because while everyone has a different business model, like if you look at my client roster, which you can't because client confidentiality, but if you were to look at my client roster and see what their business journey and development looks like, each and every single one of their business is so different, right? They're all marketing differently, they're all selling different things, they all have different personalities, lifestyles, struggles. So I think when people online are like, hey, this is what I did for me to grow my business, this is what I do to get clients, I package that up so that you can do it too. A lot of times that doesn't really work as well because they're not taking into consideration your humanness. They're not taking into consideration your strengths, your weaknesses, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, what's working right now, and all of that good stuff. That's why one-on-one coaching is so powerful. So while every business is different and while every sales process is going to look different, every community is going to look different, every program is going to look different. Good morning, everyone. Julie, Shannon, Stormy, Talina, everyone that's here. Love seeing your faces. You guys make my day. I actually was really tired before. Um, and I was telling Nick, like, I'm so tired today. And he's like, don't worry, you're gonna do your live stream, and as soon as you do your live stream, somehow you get energy. And it's so true. Like in the morning, I'm like drinking my coffee, going really slow. And then as soon as I hop in here, I'm like, good morning. He always makes fun of me for that. But anyway, thank you for being here. Um, so every business is different, but what are the foundations that I see that most successful business have? Because there's a common thread between all of them, right? Like there's a common thread of like what coaches that are actually making money and thriving and hitting income goals have that a lot of coaches don't have yet, right? Like, and if you don't have this yet, that's okay. Totally fine. I think at some point or another, most people who are starting a business don't have all of these things that I'm going to tell you completely mastered. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not so that you beat yourself up. Like what I'm about to tell you, it's so that you're aware of like what are the little pieces that you can work on and enhance and get better at. Okay. So are you guys ready? Um, what else do I have to say? Oh, so if you're part of my email list and you've been in this community for a while, you know that every week we do a weekly blog post. So if you're part of my email list, you get it first. So you get it on Wednesdays. And if you are in the group only, you will see it on Thursday, right? So email subscribers get first tips and everything. But while the topic of the blog post is the same thing that I'm talking about today, right? Like 3 things that most successful coaches have in their business. I changed it up. I changed it up a little bit for today's episode, right? Because I wanted to go deeper with you guys here and I wanted to incorporate a few things that were missing from that blog. So the blog has some similarities, but I picked 2 different things for this live stream that I think are so important as well. All right. So the first thing, and if you know me, you know that this is coming, it relates to confidence and belief, right? Like the first thing that I see that my clients have when they're like thriving and achieving amazing things in their business goes down to what they believe, right? So it's a deep belief that it is possible for them, that they believe in themselves, they believe in their programs, they believe in their services, but honestly, most importantly, they believe in their capacity to achieve whatever we're working towards achieving. Okay. And this is something that we're always working on. This is something that you're always going to work on. This may go up and down, and that's normal. You're not a machine, right? Like you're a human being. So you may hit your first 5-figure month next month and still doubt yourself afterwards. And that's okay, just as long as we're always working through that. But honestly, the first and most important thing, if you want to build success in your business and if you want to get to your next income goals and get booked out with clients, it's that, right? Like that's honestly the first thing that needs to be there. If you don't believe that you can make that happen, right? Then it's either going to be really, really hard, very, very slow, or borderline like frustrating and overwhelming. And it may make you want to not even show up because why would you show up for something that you don't believe it's possible for you? Okay. So when you have this like belief of like, you know what, may not look perfect. There may be ups and downs. I may experience disappointment, but I know that this is possible for me. And I know that I have something amazing to offer. And I know that I'm amazing at what I do. And I'm here to make an impact and change the world. And I'm just so excited to do this, even though it may not look like a linear path. Then what's going to happen is when you encounter a disappointment, that's not going to knock you down and throw you off. When someone says no in a sales call, then it doesn't matter because you know that it's going to happen no matter what, right? So that's why the belief is so important because if you want to build a super successful coaching business, you just know that there's going to be ups and downs, right? Like there's going to be emails that people open and they click and they book calls, and then there's going to be some that like 2% of your list opens. And like that is part of entrepreneurship. It's never a linear path. So if you don't have that underlying like subconscious thinking of like no matter what happens I know that I can make this happen, then you kind of even start thinking like but I'm trying, and you start thinking the word like but I'm trying and it's not working, but I'm trying and it's not working, right? And I think a lot of times when you think like when you say the word like I'm trying, I feel like in a way you're setting yourself up for failure, right? Because it's like do or do not, there is no try. um it's just like you just do until it works, and the only way for you to show up like that with that energy and that zest and that consistency and resilience that's so it's so important in entrepreneurship is for you to have that deep belief that it's possible for you, that you can achieve it, that people will buy. And again, it's going to go up and down, and that's okay. That's why the internal and confidence work is so important, like so important. All right, let's see. Is this making sense so far? And I know you probably hear me talk about this almost in every live stream: confidence, mindset, beliefs, thoughts, and it's fine. I really want to drill this in because I promise you it's always the number one thing. Like if something is extremely frustrating and it's not working and you've been doing it for a while, ask yourself, do I really believe that this is possible for me? Or do I have like wobbles in that belief or that doubt or that insecurity, right? Like, so if you're like, if you have like a really good month where like things are moving, community's growing, you're making some sales, like you probably have a little bit more of like that thought of like, yeah, this is possible for me. I know I can do this. And then when you have a month where you're like not really showing up, you're feeling frustrated, there's probably thoughts there that are making you back down, not show up to your fullest capacity, not show up with like the best energy that you can, and all of the good stuff that needs to happen in order for you to build that business. Okay, perfect. Love that it's making sense. All right, so let's move on to number 2. Once we get the internal piece out, we go into the strategic piece. Okay, so the second thing that I'm going to share with you guys today is a replicable sales process. Okay, in the blog post for this week, I actually share something a little different than this. This actually goes hand in hand with what I wrote in the blog. So I talk a little bit about marketing, right? Like a marketing process to get in front of your ideal clients, to let people know that your business exists and all of that good stuff. But if you go deeper into that, marketing is not the whole thing. Like you also need to have a sales process in place because yeah, sure, you can apply for 20 podcasts this month and maybe get approved for like 5, and then you're going to get in front of thousands and thousands of people. But if you don't have a sales process after that, then it's going to be really hard for you to generate income from that, right? Like you can market yourself in Facebook groups, you can market yourself with Facebook ads, you can market yourself through guest podcasting, local networking. You can literally create whatever marketing strategy is going to work for you. But if behind that marketing strategy, you don't have a sales process that takes your client from like not really knowing you to liking you to trusting you to wanting to buy from you, it's going to be super hard to convert. And you're just going to be putting yourself out there aimlessly, right? Like you're just going to be throwing a little bit here and a little bit there. But then behind the scenes, when you do attract someone, then they're not going through a process that makes them want to buy. And if they're not going through a process that makes them want to buy, you're generating leads, you're bringing people into the marketing, you're getting your name and your brand out there. And yes, you may make some sales from that, right? Like, I'm not saying that you can't get a client straight up from being a guest on a podcast. Totally can. It has happened many times for me. But if you want that consistency, most people who listen to you at first, I always explain this to my clients, like you need to warm up your audience. Like most of the time when you want something, I would say like a very small percentage of time are you like, okay, I want this thing, I'm going to straight up buy it. Most of the time you want it, you think about it, you read about it, you ponder upon it, then you get an email from it, then you get reminded by a friend that it's a really cool thing, then you see someone else has it, and then you go ahead and buy it, right? And it's going to be the same thing for your audience and for people that you are attracting through your marketing. Like a lot of times, yes, you're going to get sales right away, but more times than not, you need to have a process that's taking your client from, hey, I just met you. I kind of liked you at first, but I need to build more of a relationship and I need to understand how you can help me, how you can serve me, how you can solve my problem so that I can buy from you. Okay, this one is super, super, super important. So let me know if this makes sense to you. Let me know if it's like too basic for you or if something that you're not understanding, because I'm happy to go deeper into it. The other thing I want to say for this one is everyone's sales process is going to look different. So just like I was saying, like all of my clients' businesses look so different, right? Like some of them do local marketing, some of them focus on paid advertisements, some of them focus on doing repetitive webinars, right? Like all of my clients do different things. It's the same thing for your sales process. It's not going to look the same for everyone. So, for example, one of my sales processes that we replicate over and over again is Facebook group, right? Like you've heard me preach Facebook groups because they're just amazing. They're amazing. And in my business, we actually do a lot of things. We do paid advertisement, we do different social media platforms, we do public speaking every once in a while, we do organic marketing, like we do Facebook groups, like we do a lot, right? Like we've been at this for a while, so we kind of master a few sales processes that we run simultaneously. But I always go back to my main sales process, which is this Facebook group, right? You guys are amazing. You keep this community super high vibe and engaged, and Facebook loves that. They're like, I don't know if you a few months ago you saw some commercials on television where Facebook was actually investing to promote Facebook communities. The reason why, it's because there's really nothing else out there that has a sense of community and engagement like Facebook groups does. So they love that. When this group is engaged, when I show up for this community, when I help you guys thrive, when you guys share wins, they're like, okay, that group is really cool. Let's show it to more people. So a simple sales process that we have is grow the group, get people into our community, nurture them through challenges, videos, emails, blogs, personal connections. When I give you guys free coaching calls, that's how we connect. That's how you can see what I can do for you. That's how you can start seeing micro wins and macro wins in your business. And you're like, whoa, cool. Love this group. Love this person. Love how much I'm growing. Let me check out her next program. Let me join her group program. Let me hop on a call. Let me make her my one-on-one coach, right? Like it's literally, it's not like you guys join the group and then tomorrow you become my one-on-one client, right? And most people won't. That's the other thing. In your sales process, you have to understand that it's a numbers game. So once people go through that sales process, a lot of people won't buy, or a lot of people will buy later. And that's okay. That's why we keep replicating it and replicating it so it gets easier and more effective. Okay. Making sense? Nah, maybe. Let me know. Um, so yeah, so that's a simple sales process that we have. Grow the group, bring people into our space, right? Whether that is our email list or just stay in the group. You can choose to do both, going to other platforms that we have. And then from that, we nurture. And then from that, we have sales sequences. Then we have specific trigger actions that we take to let you guys know what your next step could be, right? And it's super easy, super basic, but it's extremely effective and very, very cheap. Like, this is one of the cheapest sales processes that we have in place because thus far, Facebook groups are free. Thus far, they have an immense amount of engagement. And thus far, Facebook actually helps you grow it. Once it grows a little bit, right? Like if you have two people in your group, Facebook is not going to help you. But once it grows a little bit, once it sees that it's like a popping community, then it will help you grow it. So I don't know if you've seen me talk about this, but when we do paid advertisement for our freebies, right? Like when we're trying to bring people into our another one of our sales processes, we actually spend anywhere from like, I don't know, let's say $1 to like $4 per lead, maybe five sometimes. So Facebook is bringing in like 2 to 5 people per day, if not more, for free. Right? So it's like completely free advertisement compared to like if I was to bring 2 to 5 leads per day through a Facebook ad, even if they're $1, that's $5 a day, that's $25 a week, that's $100 a month, right? And that's a good converting ad. So you have to figure out what is your sales process. Are you doing in-person networking? Is that how you're going to market yourself? After you do that, what is the process that you're going to take the people that you meet through so that they can convert and become a client, right? You have to have something in place that you can replicate over and over again, that it's easy, simple, yet effective. And this is going to take tweaking, testing, but it's really not as complicated as it sounds. Okay. All right, guys, let's go to the last tip for today. The last thing that I see that all of my clients have that not a lot of people talk about. Okay. Not a lot of coaches talk about this because it's not sexy. Honestly, most people hate it at first. Most of my clients are extremely resistant to the idea. especially if it's something that they've never done before. And it's just an uncomfortable thing until you get comfortable with it. But I'm going to share it with you because it really is important in 2020, right? Like social media is not the same thing that it used to be. Um, so we got to learn how to play with it. We have to learn how to navigate it. We have to learn how to get the best uh, experience and results from it. And in order to do that, we have to innovate as things change, right? So, examples of this that I've seen over the years is when I first got into the online space. I don't know, it depends on how long you've had an online business, but when I first got into the online space, Facebook business pages were the thing, right? Like everyone had to have a business Facebook page. Like you were getting a ton of engagement and sales from that, right? Because it was a new feature that Facebook had released. Honestly, there were so many strategies to get clients from a Facebook page. Over the years, Facebook pages don't get as much engagement anymore, and they're not as effective as they used to be, right? So, what we do is we innovate and we grow with the platform and we grow with our industry so that things can work. Like, whenever I see people freaking out about like the algorithm is changing, it's like, so what? Right? Like there's always like as a business owner, you're always going to be innovating. As a business owner, you're always going to be changing with what's changing, right? Like it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. It just means that we get used to the new adjustments and we find creative solutions so that we can still grow, right? Um, which is why this next common thread that I see in most successful coaching businesses is so important. Okay. And it is a great outreach and follow up system or strategy, whatever you want to call it. Okay. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not as fun as maybe creating some graphics or doing creative stuff in your business. But really, I promise you that my clients who are booking clients consistently, getting booked out, having sold out launches. My clients who are, even if it's like a brand new client and they just booked a client compared to someone who's been struggling for a while, it's because they focus on the things that actually make an impact and they actually are revenue generating activities. So, sales processes, marketing, outreach, and follow up strategies, right? That's really what matters. Like the graphic that you create, it's not the thing. Like you can literally spend $200 having a banner created for your Facebook group. That's not going to get you the client. That's not going to um, help you reach your income goals. That's not the thing. So when at first, you really have to focus your time, energy, and attention on the things that will actually help the business grow. And this is where a great follow up and outreach strategy comes in. So let me further explain. Let's see. Stormy says, guilty as charged, but I'm working on it. Guilty as charged. What was I talking about? Around not focusing on the revenue generating activities. Like, what were you referring to? I'm sorry, I totally forgot. Julie says, how to follow up when your group don't trigger engagement? Who do you follow up with? Okay, that's a great question. Okay. Let me explain this a little bit more, and then I'm going to actually answer that question because it's going to help me explain the follow up strategy and how to do it really better, a lot better. So, an outreach and follow up strategy, just like a sales process or a marketing plan or whatever, is going to look different for everyone. Okay. Who you put on your list is going to look different. How you follow up with people is going to look different, right? Like I have clients who are sending videos to their follow ups. I have clients who are just starting out, so they have to create an outreach strategy from scratch, right? Like when their groups are not as engaging, or when maybe they don't have that many warm leads to talk to, right? So we have to get really innovative here. But basically, when you focus on an outreach and follow up system, what you're doing is you're not just relying on posting, you're not just relying on an email, you're not just relying on a live stream. right? Like you're relying on yourself to make sure that people are seeing your stuff, to make sure that you are top of mind, to make sure that someone that you talk to doesn't forget you, right? Like, and this is uncomfortable, right? Because you may have a call and then that person maybe doesn't talk to you for 2 weeks, and going back to that person at first, if you're just starting out as an entrepreneur and as a coach, it may feel like, am I pushy, am I annoying, like should I follow up now, should I follow up later, what should I say, should I pitch, should I not pitch, right? Like it's honestly overwhelming at first, and I'm not going to take that away from you. It may feel daunting, it may feel uncomfortable, there may be a lot of fear, doubt, insecurity that comes up, but I promise you, it's such an integral part of making all the social media stuff come together. Because it's not one thing. I think I said this last week or the week before, but it's not one thing, right? Like it's not the one post that you do, it's not the one email that you send, it's not the one call that you have. It's all of those pieces working together that's going to make someone convert and buy into your program. And obviously, the longer that you're in this and the more that you do it, the easier that gets. Okay. Because all those systems and processes and strategies are kind of like working with each other over and over again. And you have more people behind that funnel. So it gets easier, right? Like your follow up list gets longer and all of that good stuff. So, based on your sales process, you're going to create your follow-up and outreach list. So for example, let's say that your sales process involves offering a free call. The main people who are going to be there are people who are liking your posts for the calls, opening your emails for that, clicking on the call, people who actually have hopped on the call and you have to follow up with, right? So you want to make sure that you're being an active participant of your marketing and sales process by focusing on this outreach and follow-up system. Okay, let's see on the networking part. Oh, okay, networking and social media. Okay, perfect. Okay. I mean, I think we've all been guilty of that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just being aware of it and changing it, it's what matters. Pretty much just like anything else in business, being aware of what's not working, what could work better, and what's working, and then replicating what's working and then changing what's not. That's honestly one of the most important things when it comes to growing your business. Um, Lost my train of thought. Okay, so what happens when you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of people to reach out to? You don't have a lot of engagement, right? Like what we want to do is we want to get really creative and innovative there, right? Like how can we build engagement? How can we bring people out from the woods? What do we need to do in order to make that happen, right? Like honestly, massive self-responsibility is such a big um, trait that I look for in my clients when we hop on sales calls. Because believe it or not, like I say no to a lot of people to work together. Like if I don't see specific attributes, I don't feel like I'm going to be able to help you as much. Right? I have referral partners that I send people to. I have other resources that I send people to if I feel like uh, whatever program they're interested in may not be a good fit for them. And massive self responsibility is one of the number one things that I look for in a client, right? So when you take massive self responsibility, instead of coming from a place of like, this is not working, you ask yourself, how can I make this work, right? So you start getting innovative. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're just starting out your group, right? Like you have, I don't know, 38 members in it, okay? You're not getting engagement, you're not getting clicks, people are not watching your live stream. So how can you create an outreach list if none of that, like there's no one to reach out to, right? Like there's no likes, no comments, no nothing. So who can you reach out to? So if you ask yourself the question of like, how can I make this happen, right? How can I take responsibility to make this happen? Then you start getting innovative, right? Like you have 38 members. Maybe you start reaching out to each member and welcoming them into the group. Definitely something I have done. Definitely something that every once in a while, when we have a little bit more space in the business, we do. Not just to create an outreach list, but also because it's a great business decision, right? Because people are coming into your group, you're connecting with them, they're like knowing that you care. I actually had someone, I think it was last month, she posted like, hey, I'm looking for a business coach, whatever. One of my clients tagged me on that post. She's like, Barb's is amazing. And then this person reached out to me and she's like, hey, I see that we've talked before when I joined your group. Really like your vibe, hopped on a call, things went great, right? But little things like that are not only creative solutions for you to find people, for you to bring people out into your group or your list or whatever, but they're also great business decisions, right? Like there's literally no way that you making an extra effort to maybe have a member spotlight and bring people out into your group, or to maybe start a conversation with them, or to maybe individually email people who are clicking on your emails, or to maybe message people on Instagram who have clicked on your call, right? Like it it's going to help you creatively find individuals who you can build a deeper connection with, and it's also going to help you become a better business owner who is constantly creating warmer leads because you're creating deeper relationships, right? So if creative solutions to having more engagement in your live streams, send out reminder emails, send out follow-up emails, set up reminders in your group, grow the community, make sure that you're constantly telling people about the live stream series. Make sure that when you're on the live stream, you tell them, set a reminder for every Monday at 10 a.m. where we do the Business Breakthrough with Barbara show, right? Make sure that you're actually helping people and serving people. And that's how you get more people to your live stream. That's how you create a bigger outreach and follow up system, right? Like I promise you, business is not as easy as people make it seem, right? Like you just do it over and over again and it gets easier and you create more ease around it. But there's many times where things may feel like they don't work out, where you're like, I have no one to reach out to. How can I create a follow-up list, right? Like what steps can I take today? Can I maybe focus on reaching out to one of my members per day? Right? And starting a conversation with them, and maybe potentially offering a free call, or maybe potentially offering my freebie, or maybe potentially inviting them to watch my live stream, right? Or perhaps you're like, well, you know what? My group is really small. So obviously that's why I don't have a lot of engagement, because a lot of the people in my group are my family members, or a lot of people in my email list are my family members. So then a creative solution to that would be like, what can I do this week or this month to grow my community and build a bigger audience so that I can create more engagement, so that I can have a longer follow up and outreach list. Did that make sense and answer your question? I'm happy to go deeper into anything that you guys need me to. Um, but I also don't want to like overload you. So let me know if that answered your question. If it helped you kind of like see it from a different perspective of like, it's totally okay if you don't have an engaged community right now. There's so many creative things that you can do to bring out engagement. And that's what I would focus on, right? Like instead of trying to create a follow up list from people that you don't have, I would try to create engagement connection first and then create the follow up list. And there's so many ways to do that. I don't know. Maybe you get an intuitive download and an intuitive idea of like starting a video series or running a challenge or creating a freebie, right? Like there's so many ways that you can bring out your people. I actually had a call with a client who's like, my group is not as engaged as I want it to be, but I also am not showing up that much for that group. So we realized that she has a few men in the group and she just doesn't feel comfortable. Like she doesn't even know how to talk to like men and women because she just likes talking to women. So our strategy there to build more engagement is you have to be more engaged and show up for the community that you have decided to grow. And in order to do that, our strategic step is going to be to clean out your group so that you can speak to your ideal client, right? So there's so many ways that this can be done depending on where you're at and what you need. But the number one thing that you need to do is ask yourself, if I need to find individuals who are more interested in what I do, who engage more with what I do, um, but they're just not there, what can I do to make that happen? Do I need to focus on community growth? Do I need to focus on personal outreach? Do I need to try to get more people on the phone? Do I need to send more emails about this free offer that I have? Do I need to create an email funnel after my freebie so they're not just going into my email list and they never get emailed again? Do I need to track clicks and open rates and uh, go a step further and connect deeper with those individuals? Like, geez, I know I speak really fast. I'm sorry. But it's really that simple and also that hard. It's hard because the number one thing that you need to do right here is just get out of your own way. That's the number one thing you need to do. Just get out of your own way, right? Like, just don't let the fear, don't let the doubt, don't let the assumption. Hey, Marina, welcome. Um, Being a new group, would love to learn more on creating a larger group. Okay, love that. I actually have an upcoming course coming. It's an old course that was so popular back in the day when I first created it. It's called Grow Your Facebook Group. When we changed our website, we actually did a rebrand last year. A lot of my courses got taken down, and we haven't had the capacity to recreate the courses. But the Grow Your Facebook Group course, it's not a mini course, but it's not a full course. It's like in the middle range. It's coming right out, so that's going to help you a lot. And I'll probably, once we are launching it and promoting it again, I will be talking a lot about growing your own group. Okay, so keep an eye out. Okay, so just to recap, guys, 3 things that most successful businesses and business coaches, and coaches have is a deep belief that it is possible for you, right? Like, the first thing is you need to believe that it's possible for you. You need to get out of the I'm trying to the, you know what? I'm in this to win it. Okay, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how difficult it gets, this is happening. I know it's possible for me. May not always look like a linear path, but I believe in myself, I believe in my services, and I believe in my capacity to make this happen. That is the number one thing. Even if it goes up and down, totally fine. We're human. There's weeks where I'm like, what am I doing? Right? And there's weeks where I'm like on top of the world and I'm like, I am so freaking good at this. Totally normal. I'm a human being. I'm not a machine. I'm not a computer. I have emotions. I have fears. I have programming from my parents. So do you. And that's fine. So this may go up and down, but you need to keep in check, right? Like, when you have a week where you're like overwhelmed and all your thoughts are like, this is not working. Why is no one buying? Why is this not working? What's wrong with me? I'm so stressed out. I'm so overwhelmed. Like, when you have thoughts like that, it's not that you can never have them, right? Like, it's just that now you're aware of how important it is for you to build success and you take the necessary steps to shift them. For me, I typically have a coach by my side. So every time I find myself feeling like that, I just coach it out, right? For you, you may have your own coach or you may need your own exercises, right? Like, I also do my own journaling, I do my own thought work, I know what makes me feel better, I know what gets me out of a funk, and sometimes I just let myself feel whatever I need to feel, and then the next day I get back to feeling better. Honestly, you know yourself more than I do at this point, unless you're my client. If you're my client, I know you pretty well. um, but that's number one thing. The next thing is a replicable sales process. The biggest mistake I see people here is they try to do everything, right? Like, they try to sell through email marketing, they try to sell through their groups, they try to sell through Pinterest, they try to sell through an email funnel, they try to sell through Facebook ads. So instead of focusing on creating a replicable sales process, right? Like, they try to do webinars and then they try to do challenges and then they try to do free calls and then they try to do, right, like everything. So they're like, I did a little here and I did a little here and I did a little here and I did a little here, but they never fully went in 100% into a sales process that they can replicate over and over again. Big mistake, right? Because then you don't really even know what's working. If you're trying to do everything at once, right, and you don't solidify what happens after you get people into your world through your marketing, if you don't solidify, like, okay, so once, I'm just going to keep giving my group example because it's like our main sales process. But there's so many other ways to do it. A ton of my clients don't even have a Facebook group. But like, I would say like 50% of them do, 50% of them don't, and that's okay. But in my example for today, when I bring people into my group, what am I just bringing them into my group and that's it? Or do I have a replicable sales process that I replicate over and over again on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis to convert them into clients because I'm solving the problems that they have? Absolutely. Which is so different to when I first started my group a long time ago, where people would come into my group and then I wouldn't really know what to do. I wouldn't really have a sales process. So it was a little bit of a hit or miss. Now it's like, I know what's done, I know what works. And the reason why that's in place in our business, why we have a replicable sales process through the land of new coaches, that gets like 80, maybe 85% of my clients, one-on-one clients booked from here. It's because we focus on one thing and we made it better and we made it better and better and better. Okay. And then the third thing, just to finalize this recap, is not sexy, not exciting, probably a little bit scary for most of you, especially if you're just starting out, but a really important outreach and follow-up system. Okay. You want to integrate everything that's happening in your business. You want to integrate your community growth, your engagement, your emails, your subscribers who are very interested. You want to integrate that and take ownership in that sales process. And the best way to do that is to have an outreach and follow up system. Little side note around that, this doesn't mean that you're going to be going behind every client, right? Like, it doesn't mean that you're chasing clients. That's not the point of this at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of people will just hop on a call and be like, yeah, I totally want to work with you. You send the contract, you send the payment, you join forces, right? But it does mean that there are people who are going to hop on a call and they're going to say, okay, awesome, I need to talk to my partner. And you're obviously not going to interfere with that value or try to get them to buy when they need to talk to their partner. And you're going to say, totally fine, not a problem. You talk to your partner, we'll set up a follow up call, or let me know when you want me to follow up and we'll talk then. And then it is your job and your responsibility to do that follow up as a business owner. It's not that you're chasing the client, it's just part of making sales. My dad, literally, he has a very successful business and he doesn't really do anything online. And following up is such a big part of it. It's just part of the connection. It's just part of like keeping people in mind. It's just part of you taking ownership of getting your own results. Okay. So, not sexy, maybe a little bit scary, maybe overwhelming if you're not doing it the right way, but extremely effective. Extremely effective. I honestly could not tell you how many of my clients and how many of myself come from an outreach and follow up system. Okay, that's it. Any questions, or are we good for today? I know this one was long. If this is the first time that you watch the Business Breakthrough with Barbara show, they're typically not this long, but this one was just a lot of information. Um, and I just wanted to go a little deeper into each and all of them. So if you have been wanting to start your own group, I wasn't planning on saying this, but because I've been preaching my group a lot, join my mini course. It's called Start a Profitable Group. A lot of you have taken it already. It's only $17, and I guide you step by step on into how to start a group from absolute scratch and set it up for success from the beginning. Right? So, like, you have all the settings, all the modifications. I teach you exactly how to make your group look professional so that when members come in, they see you as the expert and you make sales faster and more effectively. So, I'm going to drop the link of that somewhere, and I will see you guys next Monday at 10 a.m. Blog post comes out on Thursday or Wednesday if you are in my email list. If you're watching the replay and you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. You know that I'm always coming back here and answering your stuff. And if you want to be entered for a chance to win a one-on-one coaching session with me, I do this every week on the show. Just drop me an emoji and we will pick one person every week. Have an amazing rest of your week, guys. I will see you soon. Oh, and keep an eye out for our upcoming challenge. It's going to be a free challenge. I'm going to teach you exactly what needs to happen so that you can start hitting 5K month in your coaching business. Bye, everyone.